Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa is visiting KwaZulu-Natal today to assess the damages caused by the floods. The president was attending an emergency African Union Troika summit convened in Egypt and returned to South Africa last night. At least 51 people are confirmed to have lost their lives in the severe thunderstorms which ravaged several areas of KZN. For the latest, we now cross live to our reporter Simpiwe Makanya, who is in Amanzimtoti, one of the hardest hit areas. A very good morning to you, Simpiwe. What's the latest?
Good morning to you, Desra, and good morning to our viewers at home. Certainly, this is one of the hardest hit areas in terms of the disaster that struck the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm just going to step out of the shot and ask my colleague Raymond Mbele to show you the damage that has been caused by these heavy rains, which started a day before yesterday. As you can see in your visuals there, that house is almost down to the ground. The road is completely damaged. Residents have gathered here in anticipation of the arrival of the president of the country, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, who will then be able to monitor these affected areas so that there can be a plan in terms of what happens going forward. I'm going to now introduce the KZN spokesperson for KOKTA, Mr. Lennox Mabaso, to give us an update of what the situation is on the ground. Mr. Mabaso, thank you very much for your time. What can you tell us about the situation on the ground currently?
Well, as you can see, the damage here is quite huge, the impact, and people are still picking up the pieces of whatever remains of their belongings. Indeed, the extent and the impact has been quite serious. You will be aware that we are here because the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, is coming here. He has had to cut short his international trips to come and be with the people in the hour of need, which is a sign of a caring head of state and a caring leader of government. He's here with ministers. There's Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize here, Minister of KOKTA nationally, who has been working throughout the night. There's also ministers of police. They're all here, and all other ministers. The MECs are here of the province. They are all in various areas. Councillors, the mayor of eThekwini, Councillor Zandile Gumede. We are here with the people to make sure that we are able to mount a spirited response and ensure that we are able to mitigate the impact of this tragedy on the lives of the people.
In terms of the rescue operations, Mr. Mabaso, what can you tell us? Are disaster teams still out in full force trying to recover whatever that has been lost?
Yes, I can indicate to you that the President will be visiting various areas. From here, Amanzimtoti will be moving to other areas, Umlazi and other areas, to actually monitor and see and lead the mop-up operations. Disaster teams are working hard on the ground. Together with many South Africans, many volunteers that have come forward. I think what this tragedy has done is also, brought forward the reality that we as South Africans, we pride ourselves with the spirit of Ubuntu, where each other's keepers, and in hours of need we come together to work, to assist each other. So we're on the ground working not only with the disaster team but also with the communities to mobilize and ensure that we are able to return the lives of the people to what they were before this tragedy.
Is the province, Mr. Mabaso, going to be petitioning the national government to declare the province of KwaZulu-Natal as the disaster area?
Well, let's wait for the presidency and the ministers and the MECs that are coming here. What I can confirm to you is that the MEC for KOKTA, MEC Nomsatu Bengube, has announced that the death toll has increased, and the Premier of the province, Premier Willis Mkhune, has also extended heartfelt condolences on behalf of the provincial government to all the victims of this incident, and has actually instructed all government departments to ensure that they are able to provide support to people in their hour of need.
Another issue of concern, Mr. Mabaso, that has been raised by people here that we've been talking to is the issue of the infrastructure of the eThekwini municipality in particular. The residents are simply saying that the drainage system may be actually the result of what we are seeing now on the ground. Your response to that?
Well, at this stage, there is also some work that is going on in terms of mop-up operations and assessing the issues of the damage. But in disasters of this nature, the damage becomes humongous. It's not necessarily just a simple infrastructure, people's negligence. It's an act of nature. The rains are beyond normal. Of course, that issue, the concerns would have to be looked at as well.
Going forward, any warnings that you would issue to residents of eThekwini?
Well, as the MEC for Cocktail, Nomtatu Bengobe, has indicated, the weather is still very inclement and there are still more chances of rain. We also have warnings about gale force winds. So we continue to warn citizens to say remain on alert. Climate change is real. It's no longer an academic subject being spoken about. We are feeling it here, and we are saying to people we can no longer take the issues of weather warnings and business as usual.
Mr. Mabaso, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That was the COGTA spokesperson in KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Lennox Mabaso, taking us through some of the developments since, of course, the heavy rain started. As you can see behind me, the Minister of Police, Minister Begicele, has just arrived. He's busy monitoring the area as well. We are aware that the Minister of COGTA, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, will also be part of the delegation that will be led by President Ramaphosa when it comes to monitoring the areas that have been affected in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. It's back to you in studio, Desiree.
I don't know if we still have Simpiwe on the line. Simpiwe, are you able to hear us while we still have you? We were talking to Gift of the Givers earlier, and they were talking about, you there showing us damaged infrastructure, but he was talking about almost 80 houses having been affected. Can you give us a sense of the numbers? Is that a correct number?
Well, Desiree, what I can tell you is that there are many houses that have been affected by this. You'll recall it's not only the structures of this nature that have been affected, but it's also the issue of shacks that are surrounding the eThekwini municipality. Scores of those shacks, Desiree, are still submerged in water. So the correct figure we are hoping to get later on this afternoon as to what is the situation here on the ground. But thank you very much for that. Let us now hand over to my colleague in the Eastern Cape, Zimkita Macingwane.
We're coming to you now from between Flagstaff and Ndabankulu, and people in rural areas and those in informal settlements are the worst affected by those heavy rains that have soaked many areas here in the Eastern Cape. As you can see behind us, these are mealie fields and grazing land, which is now saturated in water after those heavy rains. But we are seeing a bit of sunshine where we are right now, unlike the situation in Lusikisiki, where there were a bit of showers a moment ago when we were coming to you live. They're speaking to people whose livestock is really affected by the cold weather and the rainy weather. Some saying that their livestock is sick and they are worried that if it continues to rain, they might lose some of their belongings. But now we're going to speak to locals in this area of Flagstaff who are going to tell us how these heavy rains have affected them in their communities. But wena ikhane kanjani lemvula okwinetha kwilali zenu?
Isichanile kakhulu sisilemvula okokunetha ibridge besingawazi ukuwela besilala kwilali ezingaphetsheya besingawazi ukuwela nemoto besingawazi ukuwela izindlu ziwile asinamigwaqo sisuka le kwezalali zale komabofu indlela zikho.
Okay, masike sibize izilali zinezibhlorho uthi indlela azikho nhle kuzo.
Ukusemabofu kocethe kubhungeni kolantika xotshona le ko20.
Okay, uthi ezinye izindlu zidilikile, zintoni eniphulukene nazo nje makudilike izindlu? Siphulukene nempahla zimoshakele zibhedi ukutya simoshakele kakhulu. Okay, thank you so much. Well, he's basically saying that the rain has affected them here in rural areas in terms of flooded rivers and bridges that they were not able to cross. In some instances, they had to seek shelter from those who are who are on the other side of the bridge so that they cannot cross the bridges. He's also saying that the houses have collapsed and they have lost their belongings, including their their groceries. So they appreciate the fact that now it's a bit dry where we are, but as we are moving to some of the villages that he has mentioned, we are going to bring you the latest from those bridges to see the water levels and how that is affecting the pupils that will be making their way to schools.